I think we got everything. This is the Quentin Tarantino. This beautiful fall craft cocktail is made with a pork fat-washed bourbon, coffee liqueur, an Ancho Chili Demerara syrup, Peychaud bitters. It's stirred, served over a large ice cube, and we're gonna garnish that with a few coffee beans. All right, so we're starting with our pork fat-washed bourbon. First bit of prep we gotta do, weigh out 125 grams of pork fat. Next, you gotta melt your pork fat down. Pork fat's melted down. Side note, on fat washing, you wanna use a wide mouth container, not something tall and narrow, because you want the most amount of surface contact to spread out between the bourbon and the pork fat. 250 milliliters of bourbon. Let's add that to our pork fat. Grab a bar spoon, you wanna give this a good stir, really incorporating the pork fat into your bourbon. You're gonna wanna leave this out on the counter for about an hour or so, giving it a stir every 10 minutes. And next we're gonna pop it in the freezer and let that sit for 24 hours. Boom. Uncover that bad boy, and as you'll see, all that pork fat solidified there, and we got our bourbon. Grab yourself a coffee filter and a basket strainer, and we are just going to pour this concoction in and really make sure our bourbon strains out any solidified pork fat. Now we wait, we just let our pork fat-washed bourbon strain through. Go ahead and just bottle up our pork fat-washed bourbon. I'm using these crew bottles here. Honestly, they're awesome for batches. Makes it super easy, stuff like that. Next, we gotta make that Ancho Chili Demerara syrup. Cutting board, knife. Gonna need 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of these dried ancho chilies. Just want to cut them up into small pieces, guys. All right, we're going to take all 5 of those stems, seeds, everything, and we're just going to dump it right into our pot. And we're going to weigh out 250 grams of Demerara sugar, or turbinado sugar, which is what I'm using because I couldn't find Demerara. Add that to the pot with your peppers. 250 grams of water. Add that to the pot. Burner on, medium-high heat. Give it a stir, make sure everything's nice and incorporated. And we're gonna bring that syrup up to a simmer, allow all of that sugar to dissolve and those peppers to infuse, and that Ancho Chili Demerara syrup will be ready to go. Oh yeah, you get this beautiful fruity note off those peppers, a little bit of spice in the air. Giving this one last stir. We got all our sugar dissolved. Now, once you turn this off the heat, you're gonna wanna let it sit for maybe 10 minutes, allow it to cool, allow those peppers to continue to infuse, then we're gonna strain them out. All right, guys, grab a basket strainer and something to strain into. And we're gonna pour that syrup through. Grab a container to store in. Lid, label and date. And guys, your shelf life on that, give you up to a month refrigerated, maybe even 2 if that sugar doesn't crystallize. Hey, and that's it for the prep work today, guys. Let's jump into making the Quentin Tarantino. Working cheapest, most expensive ingredients. We need 2 dashes of our Peychaud bitters and a 1/4 ounce of that Ancho Chili Syrup. 1/4 ounce of our coffee liqueur. And 2 ounces of our pork fat-washed bourbon. Ice up the mixing glass. Throw a large cube into our glassware. Grab a bar spoon, aim it to stir for 20 seconds. For our garnish, a little health, wealth, and happiness. And there it is, guys, the Quentin Tarantino. Let's taste. Damn, you definitely get that little bit of pork fat, a little bit of the note of the peppers on the nose. That's a nice little stirred bourbon cocktail right there. The pork fat and the coffee, that little combination with that of the peppers, that little bit of fruitiness and a hint of spice there on the back end. The Quentin Tarantino, man, I've been drinking this one in a couple of falls now. It's so like rich and kind of just fatty from that pork fat, really rounded out. That coffee comes through beautifully, adds a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of bitterness, along with that Ancho Chili Syrup, man. Really enjoying this. I hope you guys will too. There it is, guys, the Quentin Tarantino. And as always, guys, become a regular somewhere. Become a regular at your local watering hole. It's the best way to support local business. Become a regular here at Happiness Bar by liking, commenting, subscribing. Hit that bell if you want notifications, because we got cocktail videos coming out every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Get you ready for the weekend. Stay happy, everyone.